Hi, this is Emily, and I'm here to walk you through some tips on how to watch your ShotKam videos and some easy ways to identify why you missed. Let's jump right in. You've probably heard that you should never aim when shooting a moving target. Although you're aware that the target needs lead, what happens is as soon as your eyes go to the barrel to check the lead, your gun stops. Let's take a look at how to identify aiming in your videos. Here is a quartering target. Quartering targets now consist of about 60% of targets in sport and clay competitions because they require much less land than crossing targets. The tendency for outgoing targets is to rifle them, meaning that your eye tries to aim right at it. In full speed, it's unclear why this target was missed. As we get started reviewing these videos, they were all shot here in South Florida by one of our employees. I'm going to use the frame-by-frame feature in VLC Media Player to slow them down. VLC is a free video download, and we've got a separate tutorial video on how to get it and where. So check out the link in the description below. The E key on your keyboard will allow you to go forward through all of the frames. The main two shooting techniques that we'll look at today are sustained lead, meaning you always stay ahead of the clay, then establish a point where you're matching the speed of the bird and pull the trigger, and the swing through technique, which is typically recommended for quartering targets and is when you start behind the bird, then accelerate through the line of the target. On this quartering target, we initially see that he correctly accelerates through the line of the target, but then the gun momentarily stops before pulling the trigger. The lead is collapsing or diminishing, which indicates that his eyes have gone from focusing on the target to the beat of the gun. If we watch it again, see how the crosshair remains almost stagnant in the frames before the shot was taken. His eyes have quickly gone to the beat of the gun and tried to aim at it. In this video, you happen to actually be able to see the pellets because we're shooting against the sky background. But even without the pellets, you could see the error before the shot was taken. While we're on the topic of pellets, I've got 3 quick tips on watching ShotKam footage. The first is try not to worry too much about your pattern, but rather focus on what you did before the shot was taken. The pattern can only be seen when you're shooting against a sky background because there's enough contrast to see the tiny pellets. Study the reticle and use it to correct your swing. The second is remember that the video crosshair always represents the beat of your gun. So after you take a shot, the crosshair rises with the recoil and doesn't follow the pellets. Sometimes we get asked questions about it tracking the pellets, but wherever the crosshair was before the shot was taken, that's where your shot is going. The third and last quick tip is try to always keep the clay within the ShotKam video. If you notice that the recoil makes the clay go out of the bottom of the frame, then it could be either a gun fit issue or your head isn't staying on the gun during your follow through. Keep your head on the gun for at least a second after the shot so you avoid lifting your head too quickly to look at the break. Let's look at another instance of aiming, but at a trap target. When I slow this down frame by frame, see how the crosshair stops right before the shot was taken? That again just shows when the shooter's eyes have gone to the barrel and stopped the swing. So we covered what aiming looks like. Now let's see what videos look like when you shoot over the bird and what that reveals. Here's a video from Skeet Station 6 Load House. He started with the correct hold point, moved up to the target line, Match the speed of the bird with sustained lead, but then you can see the crosshair rise above the target line just before the shot was taken. A miss over the top almost always means that you lifted your head off the gun. And again, this could be a gun fit issue because the barrel was blocking your view, or it could be a bad follow through because your head didn't stay in the gun and you peeked to look at your brake, or it could be a subconscious fear of the recoil. Anytime you see the crosshair rise above the target line, right at the end, you know that you've lifted your head off the gun. See how the crosshair was on the line of the bird. Then the last 2 or 3 frames, you see that it rises above the target line. Now let's see what a moving hold point looks like in your videos. It's important to know that your gun will always follow where your eyes go. You can see that the shooter had a good hold point, but then moved his eyes as he was calling for the bird, so his gun followed. This dip and hold point reveals wandering eyes. You should have a soft focus off in the distance, call for the bird, and pick up the clay in your peripheral vision, then focus hard on the clay. If you see movement towards the trap house before the clay, then the tendency is to slash through the bird in an effort to catch up. A moving hold point means that you had an established hold point and look point, then as you called for the bird, you moved towards the trap house. Again, this usually is followed by too much gun movement. I'm going to list off just a few more things to look for in your videos. One is a crooked video. When your ShotKam videos are at an angle, check that the camera is mounted directly under your barrel, and if it is, then the crooked video is caused by a canted mount. You can practice mounting the gun to your cheek in a mirror, or again, it may be a gun fit problem. When shooting trap doubles, look for your gun stopping before the second shot. The tendency is to have a good move on the first, then move to the second and rifle it in, meaning you just aim at it. For chandelles and sporting clays, look for when you shoot inside the arch. What happens with this target is your brain mirrors the rising arch of the chandelle and assumes it's going to fall the same way. But instead, you should shoot the chandelle more like a crosser. In skeet, look for when you miss in front of the clay. What happens is that your friends tell you to double the lead, but a lot of times people actually have too much lead. The only way to know too much or too little is to compare misses and breaks. I hope this was helpful, and please comment below if you have any questions at all. Thanks for watching.